Well, a very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to your Monday night fix of GT3 racing right here on Simple Racing Broadcast with the MC Motorsport French Car Care GT3 Championship Round 2 after a fierce opener in some pretty shady weather at Interlagos. We are now shifting, of course, to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben for 3 sprint races tonight of 18 laps each. The championship battle is already tight, but we'll take a quick look at that one in just a moment. My name is Jared Cole. Welcome back, or welcome on in for the first time if you are joining us and haven't been here before. I'm joined tonight by Nick Patasso. Spud, welcome back to the booth, mate. It is going to be a cracker once again, I'm sure.
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, viewers. It's the MC Motorsport French Car Care GT3 Championship, round 2. Man, it feels like it's only been a few days ago. It only felt like yesterday that we did round 1 at the Interlagos. What a chaotic race that was. Last time out, we had 2 victors in 2 races, the sprint and the feature, but it's all sprint races here tonight with 18 laps, set of 3 sets of 18 laps. So expect a bit of carnage. All I've heard about this track here, Jared, is that it's tight, it's chaotic, and it can throw up a lot of spice into what is going to be an exciting round here tonight.
It absolutely will, and I tell you what, there are very few turn 1, turn 2 complexes that are more dangerous than this one here at Oschersleben. But we'll go take a look at qualifying in just a second and see how the drivers are getting on with it. Right now, the championship stands as follows after round 1. Reese Wakefield leading the way, but only just ahead of Haydenveld and his teammate Danny P. Ruben Dan, the privateer, a great showing in round 1, finds himself in 4th, just 1 point separated from young gun Sebastian Vardell from Vermilion Motorsport, who also had a pretty chaotic race at Interlagos. Probably deserved a bit better in terms of results, honestly, but such was the weather that not everyone got quite the result that they probably should have. Last season's champion Jeremy Washington right there in P6, and a host of other names and teams that should be familiar to anyone who's been watching this series for a little while. Without further ado, let's go down and check out some of the qualifying action because it is all going on track right now as the drivers make their way through this open qualifying session. And we open with Liam Jensen from the B Electoral Race on Oz team. Now, this is a very, very new and shiny looking livery, and I do wonder if there's been a bit of a team change here. Because Koala Cartel is a new one to me, not the usual bright orange that we see from these guys. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and if you get a chance to chat to them, ask them what is going on with this livery.
Absolutely, it's very striking. I love how it is, like the fluorescent, the matte yellow and black, and the Mercedes and his teammate right behind in the Ferrari 296. So it's very lovely. It's a very lovely color scheme that they are representing. As I did notice as well that they had that orange and black look that they had in the previous round in round 1. But I think overall we're going to be seeing some great qualifying from all of our drivers. I think it's going to be very close. Obviously, a small track like this, we'd be looking at the 1:22s, 1:23s as our fastest lap. But as we go on board now with Ryan Palmer with the face cam. G'day Ryan, if you're tuning in tonight. And he did have a very strong race last time out at Interlagos. Very strong competitive race for ADHD. Even his teammate Josh Harris put on a really good showing in that first round. A little bit chaotic race 2 for the team, unfortunately. So hopefully for a good result there in his Mercedes-Benz AMG. But so far leading the way is the man that won the chaotic feature race in the Lamborghini, Haydenveld for Evolution Racing Team in position 1. But now as I say that, Reese Wakefield has just gone up to the top with a 1:22.287. So really, really competitive between those two, just where they left off at Interlagos.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tight race up the front. Just a bit of confirmation in the chat. Thank you so much, Doctor. Can confirm they're no longer race on Oz. So there we go. We'll have to have a bit of a look into updating some team names, I reckon. You know, I'm looking at Ryan Palmer's Mercedes right now, and I swear I don't remember it having those ridiculously bright running lights. Am I just forgetting what these cars look like from week to week? It's entirely possible. It could be sure that, but I remember there was this.
Yeah, I'm sure, but they also said as well there was a little bit of a hidden message on the back of the rear wings of the car. So he did actually, I think it was him and Josh Harris actually said to me to actually have a look one day in one of the broadcasts to actually see what's underneath that rear wing. Apparently there is something going on. But there's Josh Harris So it's really good to see him and the pilot aboard.
I don't know if you caught that message just then. What is that? Danny brake now or something like that? Danny brake please. There you go. That'll be a message to Danny P, I'm sure. And I've just figured out what it is with the lights. Ryan has decided to take off the light covers by the look of things, which would explain why it's confused the heck out of me today. Thomas Hinz from HR Jinx Shifters, this time with his livery showing up the way that it should, and as always looking amazing. The Jinx Shifters liveries are very, very tidy indeed. Luke Ewing from Sideways Esport going through and improving the time that he set last time out. Hinz now up into third as well, so we'll get quite a bit of movement. Yet we're only really just past the halfway point of this qualifying session, and we're seeing some pretty quick times. Only a couple of drivers, in fact Wakefield and Hayden Veld, who currently hold P1, P2, the only ones I saw in qualifying who actually managed to break into the 21s. But no sign of any inclement weather here tonight. We should see some pretty quick times all around and right throughout tonight's racing. Spud, any early favourites for you in this championship after seeing just the one round? I know it's a big call this early.
It is quite a big call. Like, obviously, I feel like everyone's going to be eyeing up the championship here for season 4. Obviously, I would feel like the Triple Crown could potentially go towards Jeremy Washington. Now he's moved into the Ferrari, but I feel like Reese Wakefield has a little bit of that consistency throughout his whole season. I feel like what I saw in race 1 and a sprint race and the feature race in round 1, it looked to be a very promising campaign for Reese Wakefield, who just fell short last time out, but he now goes up and he improves his lap time with a 1 minute 22.214. So I feel like he's definitely going to be one of the favourites. A bit of an unsafe entry there for the 32 Mustang entry back there, but I feel like I don't want to count out the likes of Danny P as well as Jeremy Washington. I even feel like maybe a couple of names that could surprise us. Hayden Veld in the Lamborghini, some great performance there. He actually mentioned in the post-race interview that the Lamborghini isn't really going to be a strong car this whole campaign. All he needs is just wet weather racing for the whole 10 rounds, and the championship is his. But we'll see how he goes, because I feel like he's got a sturdy head. He's got a very firm head that he thinks that, even though it's not the best car, I'm sure it's going to do the trick. But don't count this guy as well, Sebastian Varndell, down the order there. So he's actually
hasn't set a lap yet. He's only just completed his first warm-up lap, so this is his first hot lap. I'm really, really interested to see just how quick Varndell goes as Veld sets a purple sector in 1, a green in the 2nd. I reckon there's a good chance he's going to improve the time here. Reese Wakefield holding the purple sector, but very, very interested to see how Varndell is looking as he comes around, because he was very, very quick last time out, and I suspect we'll see much the same again this time.
Absolutely. We're seeing now first break into the 1 minute 21.988 for Reese Wakefield. It was quickly toppled by Hayden Veld, who was then toppled by Reese Wakefield. Now even Jeremy Washington is getting to the fight. So we'll see what Varndell can do as he comes up towards the final corner now, and he's coming up to the start finish straight. Let's see what his lap time is going to be. But kicks up a bit of dust. That's a bit of dust kicked up there for Hayden Sebastian Varndell, and it doesn't look like it's registered his lap time there.
No, he will have gotten off track there, so that will have killed that lap time for sure. Mitch Curry from MC Motorsport crossing the line and improves his position up into P10 as a couple more people move around. Ruben Dan still up the front, so featuring again here in race number 2. A couple of names here that I think we're going to be seeing plenty of this season that we haven't seen before. As we said, Hayden Veld, absolute monster in the wet, and he's proving that the dry conditions certainly don't phase him either. I will have to ask him though, who on earth is making his liveries?
I'm sure it has to be one of his. If he's if he's an artist himself, and maybe just someone graffitied his Lamborghini. Maybe he got into the car. Maybe someone just hacked into his account and just graffitied it with all that blue writing there. So very interesting, distinct livery. But hey, it's going to be a memorable one if he wins the championship. So it'll be on his poster. It'll be hanging up on his wall if he's able to win the championship. Jeremy Washington there down back in P3. Ewing goes for a spin on the final corner. So what is it with this track, Jared? I'm not too familiar with this track here. I've seen the track videos. I've seen lap guides in an MX-5, a BMW M2, I've even seen a Porsche Cup lap around here. Obviously, we're on board with Dean Jacobson, so let's go through this roller coaster ride.
Let me talk you through it. All right, full speed down the main straight, of course. Now, this turn 1, turn 2 complex is tricky. You've got to balance the car very, very, very well on the brakes there. Avoid those sausage curves, they will flick you. And then this long and difficult off-camber right-hander takes you onto another short straight before the hard left. And it is a hairpin, make no mistake. It's a wide one, but a hairpin nonetheless. And then really tricky as you get to the braking zone marked by these cones up here. You've got to take just a little bit of pace off it, just the tiniest bit, but get the car set up nicely to take this double left-hander before you enter another long right-hander. And the chicanes really do feature on this track. You've got turn 1, 2, and then just up ahead here, a flat-out chicane. Avoid the cones on the left, a bit of braking to set it up for the right-hand turn, and down the back straight you go. You're watching for that crosswalk, I don't know what you want to call it, the walkway over the top there, marked by the SIG Solid Group, and then another, look, I'm going to call this a chicane, although it is an extended one, really a right-left sequence. Very, very easy to get that wrong. You've actually got to go into it a lot slower than you expect. Nice little right-hander, get on the power, go all the way out to the left, and then slow right down for a deceptively tight final turn. Use all of that left curve and then some, and back onto the main straight. That is a lap around Oschersleben. You get almost no time to think here. This main straight really about the only spot you've got to just take a moment and have a bit of a look around.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Obviously, I've never seen this track before, but it's absolutely cool to see. It's such a roller coaster there, all the way from turn 1 down to the final corner. I mean, it's the thing that sets the car up. Obviously, it is a fixed lobby with the BOP and the settings all the same for all the drivers. But I'm sure that when you have that ability to tune the car up, if you're able to tune the car up, get the tire pressures right, put on the softest compounds, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing lap around here. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of the drivers being so competitive around here. Reese Wakefield just improves his lap time a little bit there, and he actually goes to the top still with a 1:21.945, so just further increasing his lead over Hayden Bell, which I feel like he's actually come into the pit lane, and that is his session over. So it looks like provisional pole looks like it's going to be going to Reese Wakefield, unless we see Thomas Hinz across the start finish line.
The fast final sector is going to be enough to bump him up. He will stay in 5th, unfortunately. Vectors 1 and 2 not giving him the edge he needs. Look, it is a really, really fun track. Don't get me wrong.
It looks fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's also one of the most frustrating, particularly the pit exit. This pit exit is one of the most diabolical you'll ever see as the Tulip Racing Mustang goes around in the background. Oh, AITT's Brad Coates, I believe, going for a little bit of a spin. But that will be the end of qualifying, and we'll be getting ready to go racing. Yeah, the left-hander is not too bad, and it lulls you into a false sense of security as you come around to the nasty right-hander that takes you out of the pits. You've got to really be all over it. Glad you could join us here in the chat, folks. Lovely to have you back with us. Let's take a look at the grid for round 2 here at Oschersleben. Wakefield takes the pole alongside Hayden Veld, then Ethan Johnson and Jeremy Washington behind them. Thomas Hinz and Ryan Palmer line up on row 3 ahead of Liam Jensen and Ruben Dan. Then Ian Ward and Luke Newing round out your top 10 for race number 1. Mitch Curry and Dean Jacobson ahead of Liam Tipping and Michael Whiting. Jackson Starrett and Alex Sikas on 15th and 16th. Then Darren Caldwell and Josh Harris ahead of Kyle Ridley and James Salhani. Ridley not showing his usual great form so far, but maybe they will be the change for that. Brad Coates and Luke Hyde in 21st and 22nd, then Charlie Milliken and Chris Miller ahead of Cruz McVie and Mick Poley. Ben Faulkner and Dean Powell on row number 14 ahead of Daniel O'Reilly and Jack Tassell in P30. Troy Hollingworth and Vince Salvatore ahead of Chris Burke and Chris Croat, then Darren Lofton and Martin Lipsky. Sebastian Vandell only manages 37th, and then 38th goes to Brendan Purcell. Luke Patton and Daniel Harrod rounding out your 40. I can't believe how far back we've got to go here once again this week. John Thorne and Nathan Bowman on row number 21, if my maths is any good. Lucas Baker and Dan Mirko not setting a time, neither did Brian East or Scott Bartine. We've got Nathan Allen plus the usual race control suspect sitting at the back of the grid. We have an absolutely massive field once again. Pray for my PC. I sincerely hope we can keep up tonight again, Spud.
Oh my God, 46 registered drivers in for tonight's 3 stints of 18 laps. It's going to be absolutely exciting. I cannot wait. And I feel like for the 4 drivers behind there that did not set off a lap time, I would actually be sitting in their seats right now, because it is such a roller coaster. I would think to myself, I don't want to actually set a lap time here, because I know there's going to be a lot of carnage up ahead. And because with 45 drivers ahead of you from the back of the field, man, it's going to be very, very exciting to see how this race unfolds. Reese Wakefield, Hayden Velve, the 2 contenders in this championship, but don't count on Ethan Johnson and the defending champion Jeremy Washington down in 4th. But even keep an eye on the ADHD drivers. Ryan Palmer in 6th and Ian Ward in the 7 Mercedes doing a really good job as well. So great to see him up inside the top 10.
About 30 seconds to go. Get your tips in here, folks. Who's walking away with the overall win tonight? 3 races, 18 laps apiece. Turn 1 here is either going to be utter chaos, or they're saving it for race 2 once they get a bit of a feel for it. I just cannot imagine this number of cars getting through turn 1 the first time without some kind of issue. It's what I expect at this point, Nick, and I think we're about to see it as we get confirmation that the last of the cars has gridded. We are just about ready to go racing. Starters orders are in. The start lights come up. Here we go for round number 2. The French Car Care GT3 Championship here at Oschersleben is away, and Reese Wakefield gets at a fantastic start-off line. A bit of back and forth as you see cars jockeying for position. Some people getting a much better launch. Have a look at this field charging on down towards turn 1 as we come through for the first time. I don't know about you, but this is terrifying. Have a look at the number of GT3 cars coming through turn 1 and turn 2. This field is absolutely massive, but somehow we've managed to make it through. I've never seen Oschersleben this busy. Absolutely unreal. We're still side by side all the way around as we get through to what is turn 4. We've got the first of the cars going off. That is the SES entry of Luke Newing off to the side there, and he's going to drop all the way to the back of the field. This is absolutely insane. We're finally getting into a bit of single file as everyone starts to sort themselves out, but not all the way down through the field. Reese Wakefield and Hayden Veld out in front. Look at the line of cars here at Oschersleben. Still some of these guys going side by side. They've got to get it sorted out by the time they get here. We've got contact in the background. That's a big one. That's going to take at least 3 or 4 cars out. Daniel O'Reilly, Luke Newing, Mick Poley, Dean Powell, Luke Hyden all caught up in that one as well. You see a few of them getting back underway. Thankfully, not too much damage done, but certainly going to be the start they were hoping they weren't going to get here. Reese Wakefield and Hayden Veld making it around nice and clean out in front. Ryan Palmer up into 4th. A great start for ADHD, and that is lap 1 here at Oschersleben. My goodness, what a start, Nick.
Wow, if that's going to be the start for every single race, strap yourself in, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be absolutely exciting. How everyone managed to keep it clean within that first sector, except for Luke Newig, who actually went spinning in around turn 4. So sadly for him, he's down the order, and that's a really sore sight just to see every single car pass you, and you've got no control whatsoever. You have to wait until the field passes to be able to merge back in safely. But great start by Reese Wakefield. He got a really good launch at the start line there. Hayden Velve just had a bit of a slow reaction, so you got a few tenths gained on Hayden Velve, but now leads by 0.3 ahead of his championship rival Jeremy Washington, being pressured by Ryan Palmer in position 2. That's a great start up and down the field there. We saw a bit of chaos in that first one accident there. So we see more cars.
What a save! Who was that? Oh, not so lucky for the next one to try it out. Looks like might have been Jackson Starrett, the last one. But we're looking now at the battle. Look at the tiny amount of space you get in that chicane. The idea of going through that side by side is just unreal. What an amazing start.
How tight. That's incredibly tight going through that fast chicane there. There's literally no room at all. And as you said, I feel like it kind of is. It feels like that little bit of track where it is frustrating because it is a very tight track, yes, but the lines that you have to take is so fine that you just go off the racing line or you lose that position, as we see that the Aston Martin going down the inside of one of the drivers who's actually lost one of his front bumpers. I will say it is quite a frustrating track just to try and make sure you manage every single racing line to perfection, you know, getting your braking markers set properly, turning it in well, getting the exit that you need. As we see, Ryan Palmer actually runs a little bit wide with Ethan Johnson putting pressure on the ADHC driver, can't make the move stick, gives Jeremy Washington a bit of breathing room there. So he's the only one that's not in a battle pack at the moment, Jeremy Washington. So just looking at the drivers ahead, the two leading the way, and then the two behind him, Brian Palmer and Ethan Johnson, having a nice little battle there. And then even Thomas Hins and Liam Jensen, 6th and 7th place. But we'll have a few honourable mentions up here as well. Sebastian Vandel, the sprint race winner, back at Interlagos last week, is up 14 positions in 23rd place. So the Vermilion Motorsport Ford Mustang GT doing a really solid job staying away from all the carnage there, as well as a couple of drivers, Darren Harold in the Antic Motorsports Ford Mustang as well, up 14 positions. Now Sebastian Vandel makes another position up into position 22, 15 places gained, and this is going to be crucial for his championship. He didn't have a really strong round last time out in Interlagos. Besides the sprint race, his feature race pretty much went down the drain, and for him, he just needs to get himself back on the right track.
Absolutely does. I want to go back and take a look at some of that chaos as everyone starts to finally settle in. Ruben Dan, one of the very, very first to cop a bit of a nudge from behind, and that's enough on cold tyres to spin him around. But what an unfortunate spot to end up on the outside. Very, very lucky. Look at the traffic flowing past. Someone just clipping his front bar there and loosening that one off. Got very, very lucky not to get T-boned in amongst all of that. Dean Powell had a big moment on the cold tyres as he came back onto the straight. I don't know if he realised he was missing that rear wing, but that's massively affected the grip that was available to him. And then John Thorne and Jackson Starrett. John Thorne had a big slide here, and Jackson Starrett, I think, was not too far behind as he got a big nudge as he tried to avoid it and ends up just rolling backwards into the middle of the track. Kind of the worst case scenario, but gets it out of there without too much damage. Got very, very lucky indeed.
I was going to say, with that double right hand, as we see a move here for Chris McVie on Troy Hollingsworth, trying to make a move there in the 39 Mercedes-Benz AMG, the privateer driver. Goes defensive on the second last corner, leading up towards the final corner there. Will compromise his entry. Contact may just push out of the way, and here comes Sebastian Vandel, who could be the biggest beneficiary out of all of this, moving himself up into 20th position. But will he hang it around the outside of the Merc driver, which leads to the inside line? It's tight, it's narrow. Is he just about to hold on? But then we have the Mercedes driver back in the fold of this, Troy Hollingworth, really trying to get back that position, but he loses two, and that is now it's settled down. Sebastian Vandel gains another position up inside the top 20, 17 positions gained here. What a star this man is, and you know, it's early days for him, but I'm sure he's going to be finding himself inside that top 15, top 10 hopefully by the end of this race.
No doubt at all, folks. We do apologise. We're having all sorts of issues tonight as we try to capture this number of cars. We may have to do a little bit of a restart here because iRacing is having a moment. So bear with us. We'll be right back in just a moment. ladies and gents. We apologise for the interruption. We're back into it, lap 7 of 18. And honestly, still plenty going on for us to keep an eye on as we see the iRacing liveries will reload as we get back into it here. Ryan Palmer doing incredibly well to still be holding off Johnson and Thomas Hinds as they come around to start lap number 8. He's hanging in there, but there's not going to be much in it as they get to turn 1, and we'll see if he can hold on to it as they come on through. Got to really avoid those sausage curves. Palmer getting very, very close with that inside tyre. Manages to get around. It's a tough one, Nick, to actually get a pass done here at Oschersleben, but plenty of opportunity to see mistakes from some of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. You throw a GT3 car on here, it looks near impossible to make an overtake, but I would say something a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner, like an Mazda MX-5 or a Toyota 86. I'm sure that'll be really good fun as we see a bit of smoke and a car going onto the gravel.
Someone's absolutely hit, and it looks like it might have been Daniel Harrod. I'll guarantee he's hit one of those sausage curbs that I was talking about. Here you go. On the way into turn 1, he gets it sideways, in fact, and just slides it on out. No damage done. Thankfully, plenty of run up there, but this is what we come back to. Nathan Bowman on the side of the road after coming together with Luke Newing. Let's go back and see what's caused that. And it does look like just a bit of contact on the inside. Newing getting a little bit aggressive there, and they're both just going to have to sit it out and wait for the traffic to pass. They get underway all the way down in 40th.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of action up the front and down the back of the field, so it's great to see that there's a lot of action here at Oschersleben. But yeah, no, going back to your point there, obviously with the GT3 car, I'm sure it's really tough, as we've seen a lot of drivers go a little bit too deep on the brakes, and they're really just overdriving their cars a little bit. Obviously, I'm no expert in this kind of on this kind of simulation, but I'm sure that the drivers have been working so hard in the week to try and practice for this track, and I'm sure they have a lot of experience around here. Well, driving a GT3 around here seems to be one really tough challenge for the drivers here. They're driving in a little bit too deep. The car's actually getting loose on entry into some of the corners there, especially this the long triple left-hander. I've seen a couple of the Porsches losing a little bit of that rear downforce with the cars, and it's not actually sticking properly to the ground and actually losing it at that point there, and that we saw with the Ford Mustang driver really going in a bit too deep into turns 1 and 2. And this little flick here, wow, that is like a roller coaster there, that little mini chicane there. Did you say that they're actually taking that corner mostly flat and then a little lift off at the final part?
Yeah, it's pretty well flat out. It's a really fun corner, but so easy to get it wrong. If you do go just a little offline, then those curbs are going to really unsettle the car, and you're lucky to actually hold it together. There's very little lifting through there, and it's probably one of the best chicanes that I've had the pleasure of driving anywhere on iRacing. Take a look back, have a look at the battling side by side here. Lucas Baker in there, Brian East out in front of this pack, Jackson Starrett sitting just ahead of the Southern Cross Racing entry, and then Luke Newing has managed to catch on to the back, so he's trying to make his way back up through the field. But this is what we're getting right throughout this pack tonight, is a whole lot of little battle packs going on for various positions. And you've got to love it. We've got one of the, what is that there, Mirko in the background by the look of things from BE Electrical Oz. Well, you can see him down the far end of the straight, just struggling to get it turned around and back the right direction on track. It's a lot of fun going through that chicane. As I said, we might jump on board in just a moment with Brian East giving these out in front, and that'll give us a really good view of it. But it is actually really a fairly straight section, and he's just lifting off slightly to make the right-hand turn onto the back straight. It looks fantastic on the pictures though, from by comparison. Like, it really is. We'll go on board now, and you can see from where he turns in, actually not that much deviation required. It's basically a straightish run through there, but it's wiping off speed on the way out to make that turn. As you can see, one of the cars getting it wrong. That looks like Dean Power. So we'll go back and have a look at what it can look like when you don't quite nail that one, because that is absolutely what has happened for Dean Powell, sorry.
Yeah, that looks absolutely incredible. Like just that commitment that all the drivers have going into turns 8 and 9, and then you get yourself a little bit of a breather on 10 as we've seen Dean Powell there, still with no rear wings. So
I wonder if he doesn't actually realise that he's missing that rear wing at this point.
Do you feel that drivers will actually get a sense, or do you feel like one of the spotters or race engineers would go over the headset and say, "Hey, you don't actually have a rear wing," or even someone like race control would they not be picking up something like that just to give them the meatball flag?
No, look, race control wouldn't. As you
see,
Johnson gets a big slowdown, but manages not to take everyone out in doing so. So look, kudos to him for controlling that one. He's going to have to wipe off a good few seconds, though, in slowdown, and Ryan Palmer's going to fly on up the inside, as does Thomas Hins. Ethan Johnson's now cleared that slowdown right back where he should have been. That was so lucky to not collect the other two drivers. Yeah, look, it's not something the race control would pick up, and the iRacing spotter, and indeed most of the iRacing spotter add-ons you could have, crew chief or digital race engineer, whatever your preference, they don't actually specifically tell you that you're missing a wing. They'll often say something like you've got rear aero damage, and that can be anything from a bent rear bar to a completely missing rear wing. And in a GT3 car, if you're missing that rear wing, that's a significant difference in handling compared to a little bit of a nudge in the rear bar, after all.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that's very interesting to know that. So that's pretty good to see. But hopefully he will actually now know that when he goes through a fast section of corners, that he'll start to realise, he'll look back in his rear view and say, I've actually got no rear wings, so time to actually come into the pit lane. But then again, you're on lap 12 of 18, so I guess you may as well just finish where you are. Just settle yourself in and just reset for the next race. But some great battles up and down the field. I've been keeping an eye on the front two, Reese Wakefield and Hayden Velve. Hayden Velve lost a little bit of that gap between himself and Reese Wakefield. He actually managed to stretch the legs up as far as 1.8 seconds, but Hayden Velve is slowly closing in a little bit, being a 22.1 on the previous lap compared to Reese Wakefield's 22.4. The fastest laps between them is literally so minimal. And then we can even see now Hayden Velve's actually closing in a little bit by a 10th on that lap there. Jeremy Washington has really no answer at all. 1 minute 22.886, 8 tenths off the slowest time compared to Hayden Velve. So he's really in no man's land. The number one is MC Motorsport's Ferrari 296. Then we have Ryan Palmer and Thomas Hins fourth and fifth place. We saw that moment that Ethan Johnson had, that slowdown that he had next to his name. It was actually dropped him off that battle pack for P4. As we see one of the replays there of Luke Hayden, the 22.
Had a big moment just before this, and looks like he's tried to get it off track without causing too much damage. I'm just not entirely sure where it's happened. Coming out, yeah, he's lost the rear end there. Big slide, then that's going to be big contact with the wall. Can't quite see it from there, but yeah, he's definitely collected that wall, and I suspect the right rear is probably no shape. Very, very lucky not to have bigger impact there.
That was very, very close there, and almost a disaster accident that was about to happen there, but thankfully didn't happen between Luke Hayden and the Porsche driver. But now we're keeping an eye on this battle pack for P12 rather. It is Liam Tipping and the JTIT Race on Oz entering there.
Koala Cartel now we're going to go with, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very good looking car there, and it's great to see Alex Tiskas from Murray Performance Racing the Ford Mustang GT holding on nicely into P12 there. But looking on how these cars perform, like I feel like there's a lot of cars that have their strengths and weaknesses around here, but I think it's quite an even playing field, I will say. Here we have a Mercedes AMG up front and the Lamborghini Huracan, which then we've got the Ferrari 296, we have Corvette C7, the Aston Martin, Mitch Curry in the BMW M4 having a solid run there, a quiet run there in position 8, and then Dean Jacobson inside the top 10. So we have 6 different manufacturers inside that top 10. It's great to see that balance of performance is really working out nicely, even for a tight track like this, where all the cars have their strengths and weaknesses. That's good to see that they're all having a good go, and especially like really capitalizing on the downforce and the aero package that the car's got, because it's really, really tough. And I'm sure if you're sitting behind someone, you're going to get a heap amount of dirty air wash coming through this fast section here, 8 and 9 that are into 10. Just that understeer that you're going to get onto that final corner there, trying not to get yourself an off-track limits penalty. It's very, very tight within those 7 manufacturers. But it's great to see that it's not just one brand that dominates. It's literally anyone can pick up one of these cars and can be easily competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does seem, though, that Oschersleben so far, I don't know whether it's a German thing, right? But the Mercedes are pretty well represented in our top 10, holding 4 of the current top 10 spots. A bit of a mishmash of other manufacturers, but certainly the AMG performing well here tonight in the hands of some fairly capable pilots. Ryan Palmer amongst them, still desperately holding on to 4th position. You see it stick to the ground through the chicane there as they make their way onto the back straight. Hinds will have a phenomenal amount of slipstream here, but it's not going to be enough to get it done by the time they get onto the brakes into this right-left complex. And again, just really, really tough to set up for a pass. He's got to stay close, though, because if they come down the main straight, this will be his best chance to force a move into turn 1 and turn 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that Hayden Bell has actually had a really slow lap at 22.9, so a mistake for the Lamborghini driver. But what a performance by Ryan Palmer. It showed some really good pace in the sprint race at Interlagos. They even have potential to be up inside that top 5 again in the feature race. Unfortunately, his accident with Sebastian Vandel really hampered his progress towards the front. But really strong performances we're seeing from the ADHD driver. Much improved performance there. We've seen even since the Supercars Championship that he's been putting on some solid performances for his team, being the leader of ADHD inside in 4th place. And a fair way back behind Jeremy Washington, but he can still be very happy with his performance, that he's in that top 4. He is competitive, and he's actually holding off a strong driver in Thomas Hinds. He's not letting go of his rear bumper whatsoever. As we see, the battle pack here for the battle for 27th place, we have Jack Tossell, Jackson Starrett, and even Brandon Purcell, 26th, 27th, 28th. And we see the inside move by the Porsche driver. Can't make that move stick. It gets very hard to go for an inside move there at turn 1, because, as you said, Jared, there can be a lot of carnage into turn 1 and turn 2. But I'm actually surprised we haven't seen too much of it. We've seen a couple of drivers overdrive turn 1, but when it comes to push to pass or contacts, I think we've had
We've just lost Nick Patasso for a moment. I'm sure we'll be back in a moment. The battle, though, through turn 1, really, really tough, as Nick was saying, to get a pass done. And honestly, I don't know that many of these drivers will be brave enough to try it on at this stage. Reese Wakefield out in front, meanwhile, looking fairly comfortable as he gets on to the penultimate lap. We'll have 1 to go after this time around. Hayden Veld right there, just inside 2 seconds behind. Jeremy Washington, though, a full 7 seconds further back. So Wakefield and Veld really dominating here out in front. And, of course, the One Performance Racing entry of Reese Wakefield looking the part, as well as it screams down the back straight here at Oschersleben. Ryan Palmer still holds on to 4th place. He's up 2 spots from where he started. I don't know, maybe it's the weight reduction of taking those light covers off, but it seems to be working for him, because he's managed to hold Thomas Hinds off every single lap. And not a bad effort at all, whether that's just Hinds hanging in there rather than pushing the issue when he knows he probably shouldn't. There's the white flag, Wakefield across the line. This will be the final lap. He's picked up another couple of tenths on Hayden Veld this time around, and probably just due to some lap traffic. A bit of, oh, there's a big motor there. Look at that pit entry from the privateer. Wow. Nathan Bowman off the track there. Just looking for, I think that might have been Chris Burke coming back onto the track. He's going to pick up likely a slowdown or a black flag for that re-entry, because he was back on the track well before the blue cone. Not ideal, to say the least.
Not ideal to start your final lap there. Reese Wakefield almost been taken out by a couple of back markers with an incident at turn 1. So very, very lucky there Hayden Velds is now really cementing his position in position 2. What a race it's been for Reese Wakefield, and it's not over yet because you've got to look down the back there. Ryan Palmer and Thomas Hins is only separated by 0.1 of a second, so hopefully we'll be able to catch that before the checkered flag flies for Reese Wakefield. A good gap between himself and a really strong drive here from the One Performance Racing Mercedes AMG, running up the couple of corners here and then into the final corner for the last time for the first sprint race here. Round 2, the French Car Care GT3 Championship goes to Reese Wakefield, a flash of the lights, and takes the checkered flag. First of 3 for Reese Wakefield. Hayden Veldt in position 2. A quiet race for Jeremy Washington, and Ryan Palmer just holds off Thomas Hins to tail that P4, P5 for the Corvette driver. Really strong performance there. Ethan Johnson in
big
6th.
moment in the background. That's Michael Whiting from MC Motorsport. The last turn. He's cost himself a whole bunch of positions. Can he get back out before this group arrives? Here they come. Brad Coates, Josh Harris, Cruz McPhee looking to pick up one extra spot. They're not quite going to get there in the end. Not ideal for Michael Whiting. Probably not what he had in mind. Have a look at this trio coming across the line. Milliken, Caldwell and Salhani all within just a few tenths of each other. And we're still only the first 20 across the line at the moment here, Nick. This is unreal, the size of this field this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, the drivers are pretty much halfway in towards turns 4 and 5 and 6, while the other drivers are coming up towards the start-finish straight right now to greet the checkered flag. I'm sure the time limit is about to go very soon, but it is everyone else getting the checkered flag here. But I have to say, what a performance by Reese Wakefield there, no question of a doubt. Very comfortable, got the jump that he needed. The Hayden Veldt really tried to put the pressure on Reese Wakefield, but a few mistakes creeping up in that second half of that sprint race really just dropped him down. 2.2 seconds the gap. Jeremy Washington, a really quiet race for the Ferrari driver, so I'm sure he's got a lot to do when it comes to race 2 and race 3 coming up. But it is a reverse top 10, so strap yourself in, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to see some exciting racing here from the back with Reese Wakefield in 10th, and even Ian Ward, who I know very well when it comes to sim racing. Actually, I raced him last night on Gran Turismo 7. You put him up towards the front of a battle pack in a reverse championship standing or reverse grid. He's definitely one that's going to be putting the power down and getting us off that lead that he wants. So sitting in P2, front row start for him. But I'll let you take care of the grid for me, for Jared, because it's going to be an exciting race.
It absolutely will be. Dean Jacobson, Ian Ward get the reverse top 10, and they'll be on the front row for race number 2. Mitch Curry and Liam Jensen behind them. Then Johnson and Hins, Ryan Palmer and Jeremy Washington, Hayden Veldt and Reese Wakefield starting from row number 5. We, of course, are straight into race number 2 here, folks, so we'll take a look at the results of race 1 after this. But the rest of the field starting in the order that they finished: Liam Tipping and Chris Miller ahead of Ridley and Faulkner, then Whiting and Coates, Josh Harrison, Cruz McPhee, Alex Sekas and Charlie Milliken rounding out your 20 ahead of Darren Caldwell and James Salhani. Sebastian Vandel made his way up to 23rd alongside Daniel Harrod in 24th. Then Martin Lipsky and Brendan Purcell ahead of Jack Tassell and Jackson Starrett. Lucas Baker and Brian East make up your 30. Chris Croat and Daniel O'Reilly ahead of Luke Newing and Luke Patton. Then Ruben Dan and Darren Lofton ahead of Mick Poley and Nathan Bowman. Dan Moko and John Thorne round out your top 40. Then Dean Powell, a horror first race for him with no rear wing. Hopefully not a repeat for him here. Troy Hollingworth in 42nd ahead of Vin Salvatore and Chris Burke. Luke Hayden in 45th. A massive field again. This is the danger. We've got a little bit of racing done, just a little, and I suspect we'll have a few drivers that are pretty keen to get underway here in race number 2. Watch for turn 1 and turn 2 incidents, because I suspect now they've got a bit of a feel for it. You know, they're straight back into another race. There's no warm-up, cool-down time in between. A very strong chance that I think we're going to see these guys go a little bit too hard on the newly cold tyres that they'll be running here at the start of race number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned with Ian Ward, I'll put him on the front row. He will be a man to watch out for. Mitch Curry down in P3, so it'll be great to see how he progresses. A very quiet race for the leader of MC Motorsports up into P3, but I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on Reese Wakefield down in 10th place. Also down the back there, we saw Sebastian Vandel down in 23rd place, so watch out for him. Now he's going to be able to try and make some moves early on to try and get himself inside that top 15. But if I know a driver that is really good in the battle pack to move his way up towards the front, it's going to be Ryan Palmer. But those 5 lights go out and we are racing there. Dean Jackson gets a solid start.
Palmer's jumped immediately.
Yeah, great start there by Ryan Palmer. As we see incidents on the main straight there going into turns 1 and 2. Bit of chaos here. Someone's off on the gravel trap, and that's going to be potential carnage.
Oh, we've got cars going everywhere. One of the Murray Performance Racing cars going around as well. Ian Ward on the outside.
It is Ian Ward.
Somehow we've avoided a major incident there. I have no idea how we've managed to avoid all of that, but it hasn't done yet.
Ryan Palmer, I think.
It is. Ryan Palmer's off track and into the barrier. Oh, big send there. 3 cars come
this
together.
Is going to be it. There's huge carnage coming up right in the middle of turn 4 and 5. Everyone seems to avoid it just. There's a bit of a pile back there. I feel like we're going to be getting ourselves a potential safety car here. I feel like everyone's quite slowed down towards the battle pack. Looks like,
sure enough,
safety car in, of course, yeah. That's the right call there by race control there. The safety car needed to come out because there was so much chaos going into those last few corners there, Jared. My goodness, where do we start? Obviously, you called it at the beginning where drivers are going to be having a feel for turns 1 and 2. We saw a lot of carnage there. Ian Ward, the culprit of that incident.
Look, he was, but I don't think he actually started it off. One of the early ones, and I think we saw this back on the main straight, was actually John Thorne getting caught up around the outside. Look, cold tyres, just getting it spun there. He got underway without too much of an issue. I'm having a look to see if we can actually find Ian Ward's, because here we go into the first turn, and he just gets it a bit loose, slides across. A brilliant bit of braking from Wakefield.
Yeah,
that was amazing to pull that up. So really, like, you could not have asked for a better turn 1. Darren Loughnan, unfortunately, having a horror start. He's come together at the back there with somebody. You can see a Southern Cross Racing bumper just bouncing along in the background there. And then the chaos just continued. You know, Troy Hollingworth sends it up the inside, cold tyres, gets a little bit of a nudge in the front, then nudge in the back and goes backwards, gets on the brakes, tries to pull it up, manages to do so. Just all happening as we make our way around under safety car here.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers in that pit lane right now just serving, just getting some damage fixed from their cars and probably just getting themselves away from this battle pack, because what a chaotic start we had there. But a great launch there by Dean Jacobson. I feel like with Ian Ward, as we see one of the drivers here, one of the SLM drivers, Kyle Ridley.
Gets a bit of a slide on and then a pretty decent hit there. But he actually, like, honestly almost gets away with a little bit, because you look further down the track as he makes his way down, and look at the carnage there. That's the SES Porsche getting a big nudge. I think that would have been Jackson Starrett. You've got cars stopped off the road there. That's Mick Poley, I think, that got caught up in that as well. As we take a look at it, actually, might have been even Charlie Milliken. Now to look at it, yeah, Milliken coming together with Mick Poley, just caught up on the brakes, stops there, and that's an interesting choice. I think he's trying to redress it, but in the end he actually caused a bit of a roadblock for the VFS Racing entry behind him, which was, I think, Daniel O'Reilly. So not ideal, unless he's actually, popped the motor or something.
Yeah, this looks very interesting there for just a bit of an interesting redress, because it looked like there was no damage made from the Porsche driver, but I feel like for as well, he was trying to do the right thing, of course, but you may as well just keep going. Like, you may as well just, take the penalty, if you're going to get the license. Obviously, you're going to lose a bit of points in your license rankings, but it's not even doing that, stopping in the middle of the road just to let someone by while you're holding someone up. I'm sure that would be very colourful language being said over the radio about that, about stopping on the middle of the track there. But nonetheless, as we dissect and as we take a deep breath here, what was a chaotic opening lap there, Dean Jacobson, Liam Jensen, Mitch Curry, our top three, Thomas Hinz down in position 4, Jeremy Washington, Hayden Veld. But the biggest loser out of all of this, Reese Wakefield, who almost came into contact with Ian Ward, as we saw there with the replay. Great brake performance there by the Mercedes-Benz AMG to pull the car up and not get any damage at all. He's down in 12th place. And as we look down the order as well, Sebastian Varndell up into side that top 20 for the Vermeulen Motorsport 458 Ford Mustang, but a lot of gains by some of the drivers here. Chris Burke, the privateer, up to 17 in 27th place. Luke Hayden in the 22 up into 29th place, up 16. So a lot of gains by some of the drivers, but obviously, unfortunately, the biggest loser out of all of this, Ian Ward, down 28 positions.
Oh, I mean, look, it doesn't stop there. Ryan Palmer's down into 38, so he's down 31 after his earlier incident. Charlie Milliken's down 25, so he's had some repairs done. It's it's not been a great opener for a number of these drivers, but look, not in the least bit surprised. Have a look at the lineup of cars, though. We've still got people trying to catch the back of that train as we come around. We're getting ready to go racing again. Dean Jacobson will have the control of this race as we come back onto the main straight in just a couple of turns' time. What a stroke of luck, though, for some of these drivers that were out in front at the beginning of this reverse top 10 grid. You know, Dean Jacobson right where he started, Mitch Curry there as well. Ethan Johnson's down a couple of spots, but Jeremy Washington, Hayden Veld up into 5th and 6th. They're pretty well positioned now as we go green flag racing. Once again, Jacobson takes us across the line and we go down towards turn 1 to do it all over again. Keep your eye on Chris Miller as he darts to the inside. You see that bright green Mercedes taking a look up the inside of Liam Tipping's car, and we've got Thomas Hinz off the track for Hinz. He's into the wall. That's a big hit. Takes the front end off by the look of it, but could have been worse. I think he probably managed to wipe a fair bit of speed off. That said, though, look at him dropping down the timing tower. He's down to 30th now as the field comes past, and we've got Dean Jacobson into the inside wall here again. This track, I tell you what, it is an absolute monster of a thing.
Has someone put ice on the track? Someone put water on the track there? The drivers are on slick tyres and they're not on the ice tyres, like they don't have chains on their cars, because my goodness, we are seeing so much action there. Thomas Hinz and now Dean Jacobson down the order, falling off the order, and they're on the restart. But it is Liam Jensen and Mitch Curry and Jeremy Washington, Hayden Veld inside the top 4. Reese Wakefield now back up into inside that top 10 in position 8. Josh Harris in 9th, Ben Faulkner rounding up the top 10. Sebastian Varndell, we're looking down around that timing screen, he's up, he's gaining positions. He's up into 14th position, so the kid from Vermeulen Motorsport is doing a solid job there. So we've seen an inside move there for Hayden Veld, just looking down the inside.
And around goes Liam Tipping. He's in the wall, he's going to roll back onto keeps it off the racing line just barely.
Kept it on the track there, Liam Tipping.
Through turn 1 we go.
Yeah, another lap. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the final race as well. It's like we're on race 1
after this.
Exactly. We're only halfway, ladies, and we're not even halfway through the second race, and not even halfway through the event itself. We've got a long way to go. But it's exciting stuff here as well. Liam Jensen still leads the pack very nicely there. Reese Wakefield's trying to make the move on Chris Miller for the Fishy Motorsports. Move there into turn 4. Does it before the entry, so nice move by the championship leader, who is now looking on the back end of Hayden Veld. So roles reversed now. Reese Wakefield behind Hayden Veld. We'll see how the One Performance Racing 969 goes behind Hayden Veld's Evolution's racing team. But it is the Mercedes, just like in race 1, still leading the way in race 2, lap 5 of 18. A whole heap of carnage to come as we dissect into, as we get ourselves more into this race. Jeremy Washington there doing very nicely in position 3, holding up Ethan Johnson in the Mercedes, in the Aston Martin rather. As you see a replay with Thomas Hinz there, his days just goes from bad to worse. The rear end of that car is non-existent there. The rear bumper and the downforce from the diffuser that he gets from the car just not working at all. But we can see that replay of what happened on the opening lap here after that restart.
Huge rear end impact. Huge rear end impact.
And I've seen that in that first race as well. The drivers just getting a little bit too aggressive on the entry. They're just going a little bit too deep, just trying to carry too much speed there. So we see one of the drivers.
Brian East is sliding towards the pit exit over there on the right.
Wow, as one car goes off, another one follows off and say, hey, I want some screen time as well. So just pulls off to the side. Brian East, sadly for him, that's him going to be pummeling down the order.
I think one of the biggest issues here, Nick, honestly, is that we had that early safety car and it gave the drivers a lot of time to forget that they are on only, you know, lap 2 or 3 tyres when they got to the restart with no real heat in them. So I suspect that's probably had a hand in a lot of what we've seen here with drivers continuing to slide off. They should be getting some temp into the tyres now, but it's one of those things, right? You jump straight into a second sprint race immediately after the first. You forget that you're on cold tyres to start. You get an early safety car. You forget that you're still on cold tyres when you go green again. And all of a sudden, our telemetry lights up with incident after incident after incident. Cars going off the track, cars crashing out. It's a really, really rough way to start your second race, as we see just a little dip in the tyres from Haydenfeld.
Yeah, and you can see there Reese Wakefield now on the rear bumper of that Lamborghini Hurricane. He's going to go for the move inside turn 1. He shows the nose. Is he brave enough? No, he sticks behind the Lamborghini.
Good choice, to be fair. There's never a move on.
No, if you're going for the move in turn 1, you have to be very brave. And I feel like for Reese Wakefield and his championship hopes, it's a very wise move there from the wily old fox that is Reese Wakefield. But still getting some moves done into turn 1 there. We have Liam Tipping down the order, who actually had that massive incident only a couple of laps ago, just down there in 25th place. Daniel O'Reilly
Barndell's
in the
around.
BFS Racing. Barndell.
This is
the man that was doing so well.
Too. He's going to have to back it all the way up to stay off the racing line here. What a horrible spot to... Oh, that's an awful rejoin. Almost takes out one of the ADHD Mercedes. Gets it running again, but wow, that's a tough spot. Top speed from all of the rest of the cars coming through. He manages to get away just barely back into the racing line without incident. Some heart-in-mouth moments with some of these rejoins here tonight. With such a massive field on such a small track, it's so easy for these drivers to just get frustrated, get impatient, and try and make a move way sooner than they really should.
Yeah, sorry, I almost had a heart of mouth there. Moment I thought Reese Wakefield was going to go for that move on Hayden Belville on the final corner there. Does things better off it, but I was doing so well for Sebastian Vardell. He was up into 12th place before that accident, before he actually went off. So the cameraman doing a really good job picking that up at the last minute there. But unfortunate for him, had a really great start and now just goes tumbling down the order and has to do it again, unfortunately, for the MC Motorsport drivers. So a lot of work to do, and I'm sure this is going to be around to forget for the youngster. But coming down the order here, for Luke Newick for Sideways Esports, doing very nicely inside the top 15, just trying to hold off, putting some pressure rather on Cruz McVie and Darren Cadwell for the BFS Racing. As we see the cars just go sliding on the exit of turn 3, they're really just pushing that entry to try and get that 4, 5, 6 complex rights. You can just see there's a lot of drivers.
Sorry to cut you off there, Nick, but he's actually pushed the move into the chicane. What an amazing setup on the exit of that corner. Just flies past Daniel Harrod. Doesn't get the ideal exit, though, and he's going to have to go defensive because here comes Harrod pushing to the inside. Harrod's going to look for the outside line, going for the over-under through this complex. Can he get it done? Clips that curve. That's going to wipe off a lot of speed. And now Harrod's got to defend from Seacrest behind him because he's just lost the opportunity to go with Ruben Dan, and Alex Seacrest is right there, the Murray Performance Racing entry all over the back of his compatriot Mustang. I'll tell you what, you can't rely on people giving you a bit of support just because you're in the same car, that's for sure. Alex Seacrest looking for an opportunity. He's not going to get it here, but Daniel Harrod will be on high alert now.
Yeah, Ruben Dan up 19 positions, and now Luke Newick up 19 into
Kyle Ridley, what is he doing? Looking up the inside there, just gets it back inside, and we've got Hayden goes sliding, gets knocked back. Did he just get knocked back a line? That was probably the best bit of luck that he could have hoped for in amongst all of that.
Yeah, absolutely, but I feel like it's an absolute chaos here around this tight track here. I'm so surprised how everyone's still managing to race around here. Almost looks for the inside move, does Dan Macro for the V Electrical Race on Oz. Ryan Palmer right behind there, as we saw him with an incident on the opening lap there, just trying to claw back some field and trying to claw himself way up towards the front. Down in the mid-pack there, 25th place, down 18 positions. Not how he wanted to be spending his race 2, passing drivers and getting back up towards the front, because it is a long way from 25th to get yourself back inside that top 20 and top 10.
Look, it is, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun getting past people as well. And if you're out front like Liam Jensen is, and he's quite comfortably holding this pack at bay, Chris Miller in 7th, you just see him coming around in the Fishy Motorsport McLaren just there on your screen. The last of them, he hasn't quite managed to close the gap to this front group of 6. So Liam Jensen is not holding them up. He's just comfortably sitting there out in front. Mitch Curry is sticking with him. And then you've got Jeremy Washington, Ethan Johnson, Hayden Veld, Reese Wakefield all behind. They are just not in a position where they're going to be able to make a pass here. This front 6, group of 6 out in front, almost just a bit stuck at the moment. You know, it's going to take someone really getting brave to change the order here. We've still got 8 laps to go after this one, but in the absence of any errors from these drivers, it's going to be almost processional at the front end of this pack.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest winner so far, even though he's in battle for in 3rd place, Jeremy Washington. He's going to be, as you see something here with one of the replays there, the pit exit.
Trying to get that pit exit done. I told you it was rough, Nick. It's an awful right-hander.
Wow, I'll need to see that for myself when I get on board. On the iRacing community, just be part of this MC Motorsport field, because my goodness, what a drive some of these guys are having. Liam Jensen is doing a really solid performance there. Mitch Curry as well. But yeah, going back to Jeremy Washington, he's sitting 3rd, just like he did in the sprint race 1. In the sprint race 2, he's holding on very nicely. Still a long way to go. We've got about 7 laps to go till the end of this race. But holding on to P3 so far, if we tally up the points, he'll just be ahead. He'll be leading the points when it comes into the final race there for overall line honours. As we see a move there for Luke Patton down there, just down the order there, looking to see in Liam Tipping and Luke Patton 21st and 22nd. Just almost got the move done there, so it just has to sit behind Liam Tipping just a little bit longer. But yeah, you know, so far you get 2 podiums, 2 P3s. It's a really solid result, and it could actually help him get himself some good confidence in his championship. We see the 2 Mustangs go side by side in 5 and 6 there. A little bit of netco between some of the drivers there, a little bit of disappearing acts there, but side by side through 5 and 6. That was some nice racecraft there, nice showmanship between the 2 Mustang drivers. And Luke Newick as well. So they're going together. Yeah. It looks like they're working together, the Ford Mustang and the Aston Martin driver, just trying to work in tandem. So just trying to pick drivers off left, right, front and center. The next driver they have to get past is Darren Cadwell, but he's 2.6 up the road. So they've got a bit of work to do to try and see if they can get together and try and get those overtakes done. Jeremy Washington actually, incidentally, has dropped down to P4. It looks like he's having a bit of a torrid time dropping down the order. Did he get into some sort of accident? Because that's 2 positions lost for the defending champion. Thinks about the move into 3. The gap closed. Is there actually anyone spun around there? Has Ruben Dan gone past him? It looks like he has. It looks like it is, yes. So a little bit of a push to pass there. The gap was closing, just moving under the brakes there, and there was contact there. What I just saw off the camera, Ruben Dan, I'm sure it might be getting a slowdown penalty for that, because the gap did close there between the two drivers there. So whether the door was closing or moving under the brakes, we don't actually have that information. So we will find out at the end of this race, at the end of the broadcast, hopefully to see what happened there. But it looked really, really tight and very risky for the Aston driver. But nonetheless, he's up 22 positions in position 13. What a recovery drive it has been for this man, for Ruben Dan. 22 positions gained in position 13. What a start. But that was a little bit of a hair in mouth moment there. Right armor. Wow. It's gone for the move, and wow, well, the very authoritative move there by Ethan Johnson. But here comes Hayden Velve. He's around the outside, gains another position. Can he get up to P2? Reese Wakefield wants to get a part of it involved in this. He doesn't go for the outside move, which leads to the inside of turn 2. Sticks behind Ethan Johnson. But what an authoritative move there by Ethan Johnson. We'll look back on our French Car Care replay as he goes for the inside move. Lunge there for the 471. A little bit of contact just rubbing his racing, I would say there. I would say there between the Aston and the BMW driver, but that is Ethan Johnson up into P2. Hayden Veldt in 3rd position, sitting nicely there, and his 2 positions clear. He's actually a couple of positions clear between himself and Reese Wakefield, who was the championship leader coming into this event. But Hayden Veldt, the sole Lamborghini driver, doing a fantastic job, just showing that this car is not just good in the wet, but it is good on the dry and twisty tracks there. So we see an off-road there for Daniel Harrod. Yeah, just a little bit of a hairy moment there, but Ryan Palmer getting onto the back end of Luke Newick, just wants to get this move done. He's back inside the top 20. Incidentally, we go back to the man that was sitting on pole position. Dean Jacobson is down in 32nd place. So that's what happens when you start from pole position. You get caught up in incidents and a spin that was hard done by himself. And we see Reese Wakefield now makes the move on Mitch Curry. So Mitch Curry just dropping down the order in these last couple of laps here. So I wonder if the BMW might be struggling a little bit on its tyre wear in these later stages of the race there, because it's holding on to P2 nicely there, Jared, but just seems to struggle in these latter stages. So really a bit of a mystery there to the BMW, just not really being able to work its tyres to survive the 18 laps.
Look, to be fair, when you're under pressure from someone like Reese Wakefield, there's not many drivers in this grid that will hold him off for as long as Mitch Curry has. So a pretty solid effort. Alex Zekas in the, Cruz McVie actually picking up the slowdown there. So we're focused on McVie at the moment. James Sahani out in front. McVie's going to have to try and clear that slowdown before Zekas catches up. It won't be much, but he hasn't backed off at all. So he's going to be looking for just a couple of tenths. Look at the slowdowns coming up as everyone cuts that chicane in the background. All of those yellow flags on your timing tower are people who have just been issued slowdowns. As Cruz McVie clears, he's coming up the main straight, and now Zekas is right on his tail as they head down towards turn 1. 2 laps are left to run. The lead still with Liam Jensen. The gap closing. Ethan Johnson catching him, but Hayden Veld is going to be putting all sorts of pressure on Johnson. That might be just enough to distract from Liam Jensen out in front. Jensen might just hold on here.
He might just hold on, but you just never know there. Now, Jeremy Washington has gone past Mitch Curry, so now dropped down to P6, does the MC Motorsport driver. But that gap is closing very fast. A 23 flat on the previous lap from Liam Jensen, Ethan Johnson, 22.6, and Hayden Veld 22.6. So those two matching each other. You can see that Hayden Veld just showing the nose there, just trying to get inside the side mirrors off the Aston Martin Vantage driver. But 3 manufacturers represented inside that podium positioning: Mercedes, Aston Martin, and Lamborghini. As we go to the final corner for the final lap here, what can Hayden Veld do? Can he get himself another position gained ahead of his championship rival in Reese Wakefield? He's got a better exit on the final corner there, leading onto the main straight, onto the pit straight for the last time. Is he going to get the move done and going to turn 1? Is very brave there for the championship contender in Hayden Veld, but he can't get the move done, just runs a little bit wide. Does the Lamborghini driver, just compromises his entry into turns 2 and then back up into turn 3. There's no way you can get a move done just yet, but the gap just drops to 0.5 between Jansen and Johnson. Hayden Veld is not out of this whatsoever. 0.65 of a second separates the top 3. This is going to be a close finish here, ladies and gentlemen. Can Liam Jensen hold on in this final part of the race? Turn 7 executed nicely there, and it's not over yet there. It looks like Liam Jensen is struggling to hold off these drivers. The fast chicane here, 8 and 9, and then a little bit of a dab of the brake to get the car turned into 10. Loses a bit of momentum there, does Liam Jensen, so he's actually lost a little bit of time there to Ethan Johnson. Hayden Veld right behind the Aston Martin driver. Can he get himself that position, one more position compared to Reese Wakefield, who's struggling there? Bit of the sausage curve did Hayden Veld get there, so that's going to be a little bit null and void there. Johnson throws the car down the inside. Has he got the move done? No, he doesn't.
He's never going to get there on that one.
Just holds on Liam Jensen, and that is the checkered flag for the BE Electrical Race on Oz to take his first victory here in the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship, sponsored by French Car Care. What a drive from the 360. Ethan Johnson and Hayden Veld, our podium positions. Reese Wakefield taking the fastest lap on the final lap there in position 4. And as I see everyone else coming across the start finish line, what a performance that was for Liam Jensen, just to hold off a fast charging Ethan Johnson.
Ruben Dan, though, in 13th, up 22 positions by the end of that 18 laps. What a drive as Dan Mirko comes across just behind Luke Patton from Blackhawk Motorsport. We've got a couple of battles going all the way to the end. Look at this crew just line astern as they cross the finish line. A few drivers are left to finish it up. But race 2, done and dusted, was a huge effort for a lot of those drivers. Dean Powell ended up 16 positions, so definitely recovering well with a spoiler fitted back on his car. But Liam Jensen, really just a solid drive. Got a bit lucky with the early safety car to just give him some time to settle in out in front, and in doing so, just controlled it.
Yeah, I think one more lap, and I think we would have seen Ethan Johnson on the back end of the BE Electrical Race on Oz driver, and I think he would have actually gone for that move there. He was actually very, very close. Look, obviously the camera here coming into the final corner is not the best camera angle that we have, ladies and gentlemen, but it looked like he was going so aggressive into that final corner, just showing the nose to think about making that move on the race leader. And if that contact was made between those two drivers, Hayden Veld would have come flying through and taking Stephen Bradbury to take that victory. But nonetheless, Liam Jensen takes the victory here. What a race that was for the man.
It was. Let's go back and take a look at those race 1 results now that we've got about 5 minutes before race number 3 gets underway. Reese Wakefield took the win in race 1 ahead of Hayden Veld, then Jeremy Washington and Ryan Palmer. Thomas Hinds ahead of Ethan Johnson. Liam Jensen in 7th with Mitch Curry coming home in 8th. Ian Ward in 9th and Dean Jacobson rounding out your top 10. Liam Tipping in 11th, just missing out on the reverse top 10 grid. Then Chris Miller and Kyle Ridley ahead of Ben Faulkner and Mick Whiting. Brad Coates and Josh Harris in 16th and 17th respectively, coming in ahead of Cruz McPhee and Alex Zekas. Charlie Milliken rounding out the top 20 there for race number 1. We go a little bit further back through the pack. Darren Caldwell and James Salhani ahead of Sebastian Vardell and Daniel Harrod. Martin Lipsky just sneaking into 25th ahead of Brendan Purcell, Jack Tassell, Jackson Starrett and Lucas Baker. Brian East coming home in 30th ahead of Chris Croat and Daniel O'Reilly. Luke Newing and Luke Patton finishing a long way back in race 1. Then Ruben Dan finishing up in 35th. We saw a massive climb for him in race 2. Darren Lofton, the last of the drivers to finish on the lead lap for race number 1. We go then to race number 2. And Liam Jensen, recognising, of course, we do need to do a bit of an update of the team names. Not quite sure what has happened with the points in that one, but we'll get that one sorted out. Liam Jensen brings home the win ahead of Ethan Johnson, Hayden Veld and Reese Wakefield. Then Jeremy Washington and Mitch Curry ahead of Chris Miller and Josh Harris. Ben Faulkner in 9th, Brad Coates home in 10th ahead of Mick Whiting and Darren Caldwell. Ruben Dan climbs all the way up to 13th ahead of James Salhani. Then Alex Zekas and Luke Newing ahead of Ryan Palmer. Liam Tipping and Cruz McPhee just pipping Chris Croat for the top 20. We take a look through the second 20. Jack Tassell right there at the top of your list ahead of Luke Patton and Dan Mirko. Sebastian Vardell found his way to 24th with Dean Powell a much better round in race number 2, coming home in 25th ahead of Daniel O'Reilly. Ian Ward, unlucky at the start, managed to recover fairly well to 27th, coming home ahead of Kyle Ridley, who has had no sort of luck this season compared to what we saw from him last time out. Dean Jacobson in 29th ahead of Daniel Harrod. Then Lucas Baker and Jackson Starrett 31st and 32nd. Brian East 33rd. Darren Lofton the last to finish on the lead lap before a host of names that were really unfortunately just impacted by some pretty nasty collisions there in race 2.
Yeah, and I think like the biggest culprit of that is Thomas Hinds down in 35th place. Obviously one of the lead contenders in that top 10 in the race 1 and even early in race 2. A bit of an incident on the safety car restart. He lost the car, lost the rear end of that car, and that was him into the barrier. Heavy damage on the rear of his car with no rear bumper in front.
We've just lost Nick Batasso again. We're going to have to get you your internet sorted, my friend. That's what we're going to need to work on.
Oh, hopefully it's all sorted now.
You're back again. Good to have you back.
Back again.
Got some points sorted out there for the B main now. Look, much the same. 100 points down for each of the races tonight, so 300 points total on offer. We are just about a minute away from starting to grid for race number 3. It's been a pretty full-on first couple of races. We've got one more set of 18 laps to go. What's your prediction for turn 1, turn 2 here, Spud? What do you reckon we're going to see here in race number 3?
If there's anything to go by race 1 and race 2, I'm expecting a lot of carnage, but hopefully they would have learned by doing those first 2 races and that first opening lap that everyone would have a nice calm head. We can get through turn 1, turn 2, and even turn 3 nice and cool, calm and collected. But
you're an optimist, aren't you, my friend?
I'm not sure. I am an optimist because I do want to see some great racing. I don't want to see a lot of drivers being held back with a safety car on the track. Obviously, safety cars do breed safety cars, and we do love to see incidents, but we don't want to be seeing a lot of big pile-ups there and really causing some championship blows, especially from some of the lead drivers like Hayden Veld, Reese Wakefield, Jeremy Washington, and even some of the names there as well. Ethan Johnson, who's having a really strong race so far, a fifth in race 1 and then a second in race 2. So let's see what he can do in this final race here. 18 laps here. Man, it feels like we've been going 100 laps here at Oschersleben, and it's been really, really good to see some great racing amongst our drivers here. Very, very tight, and you know, it makes it interesting. Like, I feel like you've got to throw in a bit of track maps, throwing a bit of track circuits where some of the drivers will actually struggle around here. So I'll be very keen to see how it all works out at the end of it, because we do have another reverse top 10 here. Obviously, reverse top 10s every single race here. And there's Brad Coates, Benjamin Faulkner, Josh Harris, Chris Miller, Mitch Curry inside the top 5, Jeremy Washington, Reese Wakefield, Hayden Belt, Ethan Johnson and Liam Jensen, our top 10.
We go further back through the pack. Mick Whiting and Darren Caldwell line up in row 6 ahead of Ruben Dan and James Salhani. Then Alex Seekers and Luke Newing ahead of Ryan Palmer and Liam Tipping, Cruz McVie and Chris Croat behind them. G'day Thomas. Yeah, look, a bit of error off there. It's not great, that's for sure. We look further back through the field. Jack Tassell and Luke Patton on row 11. Then Dan Merko and Sebastian Varndell. Dean Pow and Daniel O'Reilly ahead of Ian Ward and Kyle Ridley. Then Dean Jacobson and Daniel Harrod rounding out your 30. Lucas Baker and Jackson Starrett just outside the top 30 ahead of Brian East and Darren Lofton. Then Thomas Hinds lining up in 35th alongside Charlie Milliken, Nathan Bowman and Luke Hayden, just pipping Vince Salvatore and John Thorne for your top 40. The last of the drivers on the grid for race number 3 here tonight, Martin Lipsky and Mick Poley ahead of Troy Hollingworth and Chris Burke. Brendan Purcell will be down towards the back of the grid for race number 3. 18 laps left to go here at Oschersleben. There'll be some drivers who are probably hoping that it comes to a close fairly quickly. They've not had the best of races, but for some, a real mixed bag of points tonight, and I'll be very, very interested to see what it does to the championship standings when we take a look at that at the conclusion of this round. But without further ado, let's go down to the track as we see these drivers just lining up at the start here. We've got a few, well, we've got about another minute or so for the drivers to get on track, and the clouds clearing a little here for race number 3, so perhaps track temps just coming up ever so slightly as we get towards the end of this round. We'll take a quick look at the weather just as soon as I can find it. There we go, virtually no breeze. It's still fairly cold, honestly. 19 degrees, 23 degree track temp. It's perfect for some quick laps, and certainly the tyres will be thanking them. But all that means, of course, is these drivers are going to push it even harder than they have been so far, I'm sure. Look, Brad Coates from ARTT sitting on pole. He'll be pretty happy with the clear track ahead. I'm nervous, Nick. I don't know what to expect here in this 18-lap feature race as we head towards turn 1. I suspect, though, that it's going to get messy.
It is going to get very, very messy, but if our drivers can do a really good job here and they can get themselves a nice clean start, I'll be very, very surprised. I'll give them a bit of a big round of applause to be able to get off that first corner and second corner clean as you like. But the McLaren and the Ferrari front row, it's great to see Brad Coates up there, the AITT Revolution e-racing entry. But as the lights are about to come on, 3, 4, 5 lights for the final time here. Race 3 here for the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship, and it is lights out. Josh Harris gets a brilliant start up into P1 already as they go towards turn 2, and he's going to lead the pack as he goes past. He does, and there's a clear margin there for Josh Harris up into position 1 as we see the cars coming through, and there are some carnage as we saw in turns 1 by one of the Ford Mustang drivers. I'm not so sure.
Luke Newing's ended off the track.
There you go. So not the clean start that we wanted. Only one incident so far, but it looks like turn 3 and entering for Chris Miller, Mitch Curry into position 3, Jeremy Washington, Liam Jensen, our race 2 sprint winner in position 5, Reese Wakefield up into position 6, Benjamin Faulkner drops a lot of positions.
Big contact there with James Salhani. Getting caught up in amongst it all. He's getting a bit of a nudge along now from Ryan Palmer, who I'm pretty sure I saw making an overtake. Oh, there's side-by-side contact there for the Fishy Motorsport McLaren through the chicane. I'm pretty sure I saw Ryan Palmer overtaking out on the grass off that grid start. I'm not going to go back and take a look at it because it wouldn't be the first time I've seen Cole Ridley a big dive to the inside as he looks to make a move through this sequence. He's not going to get there. Big slide though from Dean Powell. He's still got the rear wing on, but unfortunately not the grip here on lap 1. The tyres not quite up to temp. You see already drivers coming in. That's Alex Seekers heading into the pits to serve his black flag. I have no idea, but I suspect that probably, look at the defensive effort up the inside there from the JTIT entry. I believe Liam Tipping perhaps there, who's just tried to hold it. A big launch for the Fishy Motorsports driver. Those sausage curbs doing their thing. And Michael Whiting finds himself out into the kitty litter, lucky not to get collected on the way through.
Wow, that's what happens when you hit a sausage curb. You go over that, and it is sayonara, good night. But Ruben Dan up into P11, doing a really good job there. Behind, I thought it was actually his teammate. They're pretty much wearing the same colours, are the two drivers there. So it's cool to see that they I don't know if they are actual teammates or they just run the same livery wrap there. But it's pretty cool to see the two Aston Martins, 10th and 11th place. Ethan Johnson losing the position at the start of the race there. But the big winner so far, I will have to say, Josh Harris, that launch that he got at the start of the race from third to first, what a launch from the ADHD driver, leads the charge on our second lap here. So we've got 16.5 laps to go to the end of this race. Can he hold on, and could he claim his first victory?
Yeah, entirely possible. Watch the launch though here from Josh Harris. Obviously that camera footage is live now, but have a look at it. Just screams through. I think he actually made contact there with the JTIT car on the left from that launch. So there may be maybe a little bit of steward action there, but a massive launch as he got underway. We've got Hayden Veld and Ethan Johnson. Ben Faulkner's way off into the weeds there, so he's going to have to try and get back on track. He's losing a lot of positions as the field comes on through. Hayden Veld finds himself stuck at the moment, just getting back up into 8th now, and getting ahead of Ethan Johnson and Ruben Dan. Now, I do have to wonder, I think you're spot on. I reckon there's probably a big move for James Salhani as he goes into the wall. Luke Patton will come past, and Salhani backs it onto the track. He'll look to get rolling again. That corner catching a lot of drivers out here tonight, and not surprised at all. But up front, it is Josh Harris and Chris Miller leading the way, with Mitch Curry finding himself in third, up 2 spots from where he started this race. Jeremy Washington, Liam Jensen and Reese Wakefield hot on his tail. He must feel like he's just gone out of the frying pan into the fire. Exactly the same situation as he was facing towards the end of last race.
Yeah, but look at the top 6. They've run away from Darren Caldwell for the VFS Racing McLaren. So there's a huge gap between the top 6 and then this next bunch of cars that leads all the way down towards Liam Tipping down in 13th place. So the battle pack for P7 is on and is raging. So basically, Hayden Veld needs to get past Darren Caldwell. Can he do it into turn 1? Can he throw the car down the inside?
This is dangerous. There's contact, and that's going to push Veld out into the wall. Can he pull it up? Just gets it pointed in the right direction. Actually, I say just, he was all over that. Very well controlled, but that's going to cost him positions. That was a very ambitious move from Veld, and all it's done is cost them both a whole lot of positions. And you can see Darren Caldwell desperately trying to defend from Michael Whiting now and hold on to just that extra position if he can. And they get rolling once again. 4 laps in, 14 to go. Josh Harris out in front, and this front 6 must be feeling fairly comfortable at the moment.
Well, they've got the next driver is Ethan Johnson, 4.5 behind Reese Wakefield. So these top 6 can really just breathe a sigh of relief as we have Ruben Dan getting a slowdown penalty. So he actually has to serve that very soon. But Ruben Dan inside the top 10. So what performance there from the 211 privateer entry. Sebastian Vandel inside the top 10 now. So this is where we see the youngster really stretch his legs here for Vermeulen Motorsport inside the top 10 for the first time. 15 positions. Kyle Ridley down for SLM Motorsports, up 16 as well. So great performances here by those two drivers. Thomas Hinds, we have to look back down at him. He's down in 16th place, up 19 positions. So that's a great performance there from the Corvette driver. Really strong race 1 and race 2 beginning, but unfortunately got a little bit too hot into this corner here and just dropped him well down the order there. But gaining some positions there is Thomas Hinds inside in 16th place. Reese Wakefield gets a move past Liam Jensen, we see on our timing board there. Ethan Johnson, and we see a couple of drives there. Liam Jensen. Very,
engines.
very tough.
Gets rolling
Very
again. Sorry, Nick, you've just cut in and out a bit for a moment, but I'll pick it back up. I do want to go back because, you know, I love nothing more than calling out the ADHD drivers when I get a chance. Let's go back and take a look at Ryan Palmer's start here. Look at this, goes up the inside, splits the Mustangs, decides there's no way forward, so out onto the grass he goes, around the Aston Martin. In the end, not quite getting there, drops back in. Seems like a lot of effort to end up pretty well right where he was behind the Murray Performance Mustang. As you see Luke Newing off into the grass behind. The slowdown starting to pile up here again as the drivers look for those extra couple of tenths. So Kyle Ridley's around, there's contact, or he's lost the rear end there. That's big contact for Kyle Ridley. He's going to have a long drive to try and get that back to the pits. That car is done. He's broken something. That's a really dangerous spot. Watch the rest of the field come flying through. Surely that will bring on a safety car because that is in an awful spot for Kyle Ridley.
I won't be surprised if there is a safety car call, but we'll wait and see unless there's a quick tow that he can get into the pit lane. I'm not so sure how it works. And there you go, as called there by Jared. It is a safety car, and wow, that was a huge contact for Kyle Ridley there on the final corner there. We'll see it on the replay. Does he get tagged by Hayden Velves there?
No, it just gets a bit loose. Hayden Velves helped him as well, but he was already out of control by that point, and that contact has really snapped some suspension components. I think probably the rear left in the worst shape.
I look at all these cars coming behind.
Yeah, very lucky not to get collected by the rest of the pack coming through.
So safety car is called, and Josh Harris is going to be leading the pack as they get to the back of the safety car. This can only get very interesting here. It's actually not a lap 1 safety car. We're already on lap 6, so we've had 6, I would say, relatively decent laps, very competitive and clean laps from some of the drivers there. A lot of mistakes being made by some of them, but this actually closes the pack now. So Ethan Johnson, who was 5 seconds behind, 4.5 seconds behind Reese Wakefield, now gets to close up behind him. Sebastian Varndell up 17 positions in position 7. He's going to have a really good shot of getting himself into this battle pack. And looking back as well, Hayden Velve, unfortunately 2 mistakes within those couple of laps there. The mistake trying to go for the inside move on Ethan Johnson, and then getting caught up in Kyle Ridley's accident, drops him down to P12. Sadly, he's got a lot of work to do in this second half of the race.
If I'm not mistaken, Rob Tilley just checking in. Yeah, just waiting for a mate. That's about all Kyle could do at that point, because that McLaren was not going anywhere. And look, honestly, probably the right choice from Ridley. And he's not a silly boy either. He knows that the risk of going around another lap was just way too high. He would have caused more damage, if not to himself, then certainly to others if they had collected him. So yeah, getting the tow there, absolutely the right choice. Even if he could have tried to limp it around. This isn't officials, guys. We've got plenty of time to tow. The safety car out on track. Kyle Ridley has towed now to the pits, so he's just waiting to get pulled back around and get some repairs done. Hopefully we'll see him again, but that'll definitely be his race over for this evening. This restart is going to come at just about the halfway point of this race. We'll see probably another lap under safety car yet. Although there might be a very late call here to get back underway, but it doesn't look like it. So one more lap, it means that Josh Harris will be starting off lap number 8, sorry, with the safety car, about to lead away. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the likes of Jeremy Washington, Reese Wakefield, Sebastian Varndell, Ethan Johnson. All sitting there 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Harris only really has to contend with Chris Miller initially, and Mitch Curry might be, dare I say it, a little bit of a buffer to some of those very quick drivers just behind. Hayden Veld, finding himself down in 12th right now, must be really feeling the pressure to try and lift his position, because with half a race left to go, he's going to have quite a bit of traffic to get through before he's up there challenging with the likes of Wakefield.
And Josh Harris has done a really good job in those opening 6 laps to hold his own, hold the pressure of the fast drivers behind him. Jeremy Washington, Reese Wakefield, Ethan Johnson. Now Sebastian Varndell's going to be right behind as well, inside 7th place. So as we see one of the lap traffic now getting himself unlapped there. I believe that's Luke Hayden in the 22 getting himself unlapped there. So it's about this restart that Josh Harris needs to do as we have more cars getting themselves unlapped from this safety car. So that might mean we might have another lap under the yellow flags being led.
We've got plenty of space left. I'm calling it. The safety car will be in this lap, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. Fair enough. But I guess in a way, Hayden Velv has got a lot of work to do. And, you know, he's got some good performance there. He's got confidence around this track. He's got performance in his car. The Hurricane doing a really good job in this type of layout. But at the same time, he just can't make any more mistakes. He's made 2 costly errors in this race alone, where the previous 2 races, he says he's been faultless. He's been having clean races. He's been managing his moves, and he's been performing very well. But just something that's just not right, has not been sitting right for the driver down in 12th.
You see the safety car pull away. Race control just confirming safety car will be in this lap. So the control will be with Josh Harris when we come back around to the main straight. He's got a lot of time down this back straight to think about how he's going to approach this one, but really about all he can do. And it does look like what's happened to Daniel O'Reilly dropping down through the field. I think he might have disconnected, actually, because there's no data coming through for him. So drops down through the field just before the restart. You can see though that that orange vinyl on the nose of Reese Wakefield's One Performance Racing Mercedes, just having a little bit of a look-see up the inside, just trying to get a feel for how he's going to approach this. He'll be looking to make a move on Jeremy Washington pretty quickly. But here we go, around the final turn. At Green Flag Racing, Josh Harris leads them away as we make our way down the main straight to start lap number 9, right on the halfway point. And here comes Reese Wakefield. Big look up the inside. He's actually just trying to get some more heat into the tyres on the way down the straight. We come through turn 1. Let's try and stay here and see if we do actually get through cleanly on this restart. We've got a lot of traffic. They are thankfully all spec'd out. We've got contact at the back of the field. Luke Patton, by the look of things, has made contact with, might be Ian Ward as well. We'll go back up front and stay with these guys while we try and figure out what's happened.
Early moment there for Ethan Johnson there. He drops down back.
Mitch Curry, a big slide. And Reese Wakefield. Reese Wakefield off.
Oh, that's a massive moment there. Cold tyres. We saw him aggressively weaving the car, and there's Hayden Velv trying to go for the move, and he can't get it done, so he has to stay behind. Mitch Curry trying to get back onto the track, taking the long route to get back onto the track. But what a moment there from the championship leader. Thankfully, in his defense, he's actually ahead of Hayden Velv down there in position 8. So damage limitation there. It hasn't been by much, but that's a hairy moment there. Trying to warm the tyres up on that opening straight on that main straight there was Reese Wakefield, and you could just see that come turn 4 he just had no grip, a bit too much power, and that's the first mistake we've seen from the championship leader here.
We had just a collection of issues further back in the pack on that restart. I want to go back and take a quick look, see if we can see what's happened, because Brian East gets checked up here at the back of the line, has to come to an almost complete stop. So that's been picked up as an incident, nothing there. But what has happened to Luke Patton? Just gets a very, very gentle nudge from Luke Newing on the restart, and what an odd little incident that was.
Yeah. Very odd and very slow
James
incident.
Salhani on the way through to avoid that has to run very wide, but actually gets clipped in the end and spun around. Really, really frustrating, I'm sure. Both those drivers who find themselves all the way at the back of the pack as a result.
Yeah, sadly, that's going to be the case there. Josh Harris still leads the way ahead of Chris Miller, Jeremy Washington, Sebastian Varndell, 20 positions gained in position 4. What a recovery drive this has been for the McLaren Motorsport in position 4. And he's got a lot of work to do to try and get onto that podium. If he gets onto the podium, I'm sure he's going to be very, very happy. He's going to be over the moon if he gets onto that podium there. Reese Wakefield Hanley is up into P7, Hayden Veld in position 8, so the two championship contenders. Thankfully for Reese Wakefield, didn't lose too much time there. Had a bit of a cross moment there at turns 4 and 5, but was no big damage there for Reese Wakefield. So that's actually a sigh of relief for the championship leader, and he's actually ahead of Hayden Veld, his championship contender. But down the order, Thomas Hintz almost inside the top 10 there, getting in this battle pack with Chris Crow and Brad Coates in for position 9, and he's up 24 positions there. If he can get past these two drivers, he could be in a very good contention here to get himself inside the top 10, even not even just top 10. He can get himself ahead in position 9 out of this, and I'm sure that'll be a very strong recovery drive.
But it must be terrifying. Chris Croat just disappearing there. I'm hoping that that's just on our end, because if it's not, then Thomas Hins will be sweating buckets, not knowing quite where that Mustang is through each corner. It is one of the most challenging parts of sim racing is that network connectivity when it's not happening for another driver. Yeah, real issues there. As we take a look back up the front, Josh Harris, Chris Miller and Jeremy Washington. I'll tell you what, if Vandell can get his qualifying sorted, he's going to be a real force to be reckoned with throughout this season. Question on what happened to Liam Jensen. Did have an issue just a little earlier. We've obviously been pretty flat out here, but we'll go back and take a look and see just what's happened for Liam Jensen. The iRap Designs replay picked this up all on his own, just picking up a bit of debris, ends up flicking around backwards, and unfortunately being so soon after the restart, all he can do is back it off, sit and wait in the Koala Cartel Mercedes, and gets back on, but by this stage he's lost a lot of track position. Now finds himself all the way down, and just trying to find him in the list here. What it is a long list. Liam Jensen is now sitting down in P30, just the bottom of your tower.
Oof. Yeah, very unlucky there, but look at this battle pack. It is closing up so much. That top 6 now becoming top 7. Reese Wakefield setting the fastest lap on the previous lap, 22.694 fastest on the track there, but they're all separated by a small amount of margin there. Actually, on the last lap, Josh Harris at 23.844 compared to Reese Wakefield's 22.694. Where has there's so much pace difference there? Reese Wakefield down in P7. Josh Harris really holding this pack up massively. Sebastian Vardell goes over the sausage curbs, doesn't upset the car there, putting pressure on the reigning champion in Jeremy Washington. Can Chris Miller go for the inside move? He doesn't. Has to go defensive there. But Jeremy Washington really trying to fend off from Sebastian Vardell because he's right on the rear bumper of the Ferrari driver. Does he go for the outside line there? He's going to go around the outside of the number 1.
Oh, big bounce, and there it is. Oh, so lucky not to take out Vardell, and Washington off the track. Big hit into the wall. Those sausage curves, every time you cut that corner too fine, you're so lucky not to take out Sebastian Vardell on the way through. I reckon that was a very close moment. I'll pick that up in just a second. Tom Kay saying that he thinks something happened a little earlier to Liam Jensen, and here's the moment though. He just gets a bit loose and ends up well off into the kitty litter. So that's about all we've got in our list for Liam Jensen. You know, rejoined there, and then that's the moment you saw just earlier as well. What a moment though for Jeremy Washington, just pushing so hard. Let's see if we can get another view of that one.
Incidentally, we'll also report that Thomas Hines has actually made a few positions there. He's now inside 7th place.
Jumps twice across the front of Vardell's car, misses him both times. Brilliant awareness from the young fella. Sebastian Vardell keeps that familiar Motorsports Mustang in one piece, despite Jeremy Washington's best efforts to rip the front end off it.
Yeah, that's scary. If you're a driver there and you see someone trying to go for that inside move, and I feel like that was what it was. He was going defensive, so he wasn't taking the racing line going into turns 1 and 2. So I wonder if that actually put him off there. So we see an incident down the back there, Liam tipping
off the road.
Looks like he's struggling a little bit. His race is going from bad to worse, sadly. And yeah, and unfortunately for this man here, Jeremy Washington, the defending champion, down in position 10 behind Ruben Dan, who's actually dropped a few positions on a few laps ago, 1:31.4. So really had a struggle, a bit of a struggled lap 13, but now 4.5 laps to go till the end of the race. It is still Josh Harris leading the way for Mercedes. Can Mercedes go 3 in a row here? We have Reese Wakefield and Liam Jensen win race 1 and 2 in the Mercedes AMG. Can Josh Harris make it 3 out of 3, but the third team to take the victory? Only time will tell.
Yeah, we should almost start tracking a Constructors' Championship at this point. I reckon I might have a chat to the MC Motorsport admins about that one, because given the massive representation we've got this season, I think it'd be a fun little stat to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. That'd be very cool to see. But yeah, holding off very nicely, Chris Miller, another good lap there, 23.6 for Josh Harris, 23.6 for Chris Miller, Ethan Johnson 23.6, Sebastian Barndell 22.6, so a second faster than the drivers inside the top 3, and then we have Reese Wakefield 22.7. And we can see the man there, just cool, calm, and collected. And as you can see, that
mirror, though.
The mirror. I just saw that McLaren just go right onto that rear bumper there, just giving Josh a bit of a surprise as he lays himself into turns 3, and then we're going through turns 4, 5, and 6. Let's stay on board with the man that is leading the race here, the 989, coming through turn 7. It's just get a really good insight to see what is actually like behind the ADHD driver. You can see that McLaren really putting the pressure on Josh Harris here. 7, 8, and 9, and then a little dab of the brakes and a bit of calm and collectedness through turn 10. A bit of deep breath for Josh Harris. He's only got 3.5 laps to go till the end of this race. Can he hold on, and can he get ADHD's first win in season 4 through 11 and 12? Coming into the final corner of 13, rounding up and towards the final corner of 14.
Chris Miller is actually fighting off Ethan Johnson. Sorry to jump in there, but Johnson got the pass done. It looked like Miller was about to ram the rear end of Josh Harris, but he was actually staying out of the way of Ethan Johnson, who's made a cracker of a pass up the inside of that final turn to get up into second. And now here comes Varndell up into third.
Wow, what a move there for Varndell. Very brave on the inside as well there, and it made it stick. And Chris Miller gave him the room and gave him the cleanliness there. As we see Ethan Johnson throw the car down the inside, and then it's Josh Harris losing the lead to Ethan Johnson. So 2 moves within the space of a few corners for Ethan Johnson, from P3 going into the final corner, and then to P1 on the exit of turn 3. What a sequence of corners that has been for the Aston Martin driver. Now Josh Harris down to P2, and he held on for that lead for 15 with 15 laps under his belt there, taking the lead of this race. Sadly, on the 16th lap, he's lost it out. He's now holding on to P2, but so can he hold on to this podium? Can he hold off a fast-charging Varndell? Can he also hold off Reese Wakefield, who's going for the inside move on Chris Miller? Can he get the nose done? And he's got the move done on the McLaren driver, so he's up into P4. And we see one of the Aston Martins, that's not Ethan Johnson. That looks like somebody else that's gone off the track there. Josh Harris struggles with a couple of... Oh, he's actually lost position to Sebastian Varndell. One of contact was made between the 2 drivers there, because...
Oh, he's flashing lights, I reckon so, somehow.
And a bit of a side draft there for Reese Wakefield. Josh is going so defensive on the championship leader there. Bit of a bump. So Reese Wakefield goes up into P3, and Josh is livid. He will not be happy of what just happened there between himself and Sebastian Varndell.
Let's go back and take a look at Ethan Johnson's move here on Chris Miller, because we were watching Chris Miller right up the back of Josh Harris, but look at Ethan Johnson just force his way through there. That Aston Martin fitting into spaces that there is no right for it to be, but gets it done so easily, and then down into turn 1, and he just starts to reel Josh Harris in there. Brilliant driving from Ethan Johnson, who now finds himself in the lead of this race with only a lap and a half or so to go. But Sebastian Varndell sitting in second. Reese Wakefield now in third is trying desperately to reel him in. Hayden Veld, meanwhile, stuck behind Josh Harris at the moment. He'll be looking to pick up another spot here, I'm sure. And Chris Miller pretty keen to resume that battle with Harris at this stage.
Yeah, Hayden Veld needs to get past Josh Harris. He needs to try and do as much as he can to not have that deficit increase between himself and Reese Wakefield in this championship. We're only the second round into the championship, and we've got 8 more rounds to go, but the white flag is out, and we're on the final lap to Ethan Johnson with the fastest lap at 22.484 on the previous lap there. No question without doubt, 1.6 ahead of Sebastian Varndell. Looks like it's going to be a clean race victory here for Ethan Johnson if he keeps it on the track there, but Reese Wakefield putting pressure on Sebastian Varndell on this last lap there. Shows the nose at turn 3, but doesn't go for the move. Just has to stick behind the 458 for MC Motorsport Ford Mustang. But coming into the last sequence of corners past sector 1, 4, 5, and 6. This long, this never-ending left-hander, and then a little bit of a break from turning left, turn right, onto turn 7. He's just going to hold on. I don't feel like there's going to be any more moves made unless there's a fairly costly mistake there by Sebastian Varndell, but it looks like he might just be able to hold on here, Jared, and we are going to see a different manufacturer take a win. It's not a Mercedes, what we thought 3 laps ago. It's now going to be a different one.
Yeah, we were all set to get excited about the Constructor Championship, and now I'm just not so sure. Ethan Johnson doing a fantastic job. We're going to stick with this one right to the end, though, because Reese Wakefield's going to throw everything he's got at this as they come around the final turn for the last time here at Oschersleben tonight. The checkered flag is out. Ethan Johnson, take a bow. A brilliant late drive there, side by side at the finish. Varndell looks like he's just held on by 0.05 of a second, rounding up a little, of course. Ruben Dan, unfortunately, a bit of a late issue, and he's dropped back a few spots there. But looks at things, he's actually on the way into the pits with a black flag, so that's pretty unfortunate. Must have just hit that incident limit. As we see the rest of the field coming through, some lights flashing there on Mitch Curry's BMW. I don't know if there's a story to be told there, but you can see some very close finishes. Nathan Bowman crossing the line there just behind Vince Salvatore. The rest of the field on the way through as they battle for the minor positions back through the field. We'll scroll down just a little so we can see the rest of the field coming through. Dean Powell finishing off in at 32nd, and then quite a gap now back to Jackson Starrett, one of the last drivers on track as we wait for Cruz McVee, who is on his way as well. And then James Salhani, the last driver, a little way off yet, but what a finish and what a drive all round, really, for Ethan Johnson to finish that one off. A massive effort, and managed to hold off quite comfortably, really. A bit of a nudge from Varndell. I don't think that one was intentional, but you know, maybe there's a bit more to that story than we know. They'll come on into the pits, and we will go and take a look at the final race results there for our feature race. 3 18-lap races tonight, each more intense than the last, you've got to say. The results, though, for the final race look a little something like this. Ethan Johnson taking the win ahead of Sebastian Varndell. Reese Wakefield comes home in 3rd, with Josh Harris unfortunately slipping to 4th. Then Hayden Veld, Chris Miller, Thomas Hinds, Brad Coates, Jeremy Washington, and Chris Croat rounding out your top 10. We saw it all there, really, didn't we, Nick? That final race had a little bit of everything, and yeah, I don't even know where to start with some of that. Neither do I. I've got no idea where to start there. Ethan Johnson, what a performance there from the Van der Sar Racing 471 to get the victory. And obviously he did show a lot of promise in those first 2 races, and it had to show for the final one. Takes the victory, steals it from Josh Harris, but it got set up on that final corner there on lap 16, going on to, at the end of lap 15, started lap 16, at the end of 14, got the move done on Chris Miller. And only took him a few corners to get the run out of turn 2, and then an ascend at turn 3 to take the lead. So those corners was the pivotal moment for Ethan Johnson to take victory here tonight. Sebastian Varndell up 22 positions out of all of this, 2.1 at behind, but just held on to P2 with Reese Wakefield dropping into P3. Josh Harris, very unlucky there, but a very honourable mention for him as well. A great launch off the start line and held his own for 15 laps, nearly 16 laps, and then unfortunately gets passed by Ethan Johnson, finishes down in P4. Hayden Velves could have been a little bit more, but I feel like it was a bit of damage limitation there for Hayden Velves. So probably not his strongest race, but holds on to P5, so good points for him
in his championship quest. But Thomas Hinz, I'm going to give this man a big shout out here for what could be a potential for his life there, along with Sebastian Vettel, up 28 positions there and sits in 7th place. What an amazing drive it has been for the Corvette driver for the HJR Jinx Shifters Corvette C7. Performance above and beyond for Thomas Hinz and Sebastian Vettel, who gained 20 plus. Down in 12th, we have Lucas Baker, Southern Cross Racing, up 19 as well.
Big
Mick
moves
Poley
through the
up.
field there, Nick. Absolutely. Some massive drives. We've only got one driver joining us here tonight in the booth by the look of things, so we'll have a quick chat now to Reese Wakefield. Reese, welcome back to the comms booth. Good to have you here again, mate. That looks like some hard going there tonight.
That was unbelievable. It's so hard to pass at, I'm going to butcher it, but Oschersleben, the Schleben, whatever you want to call it.
This track is difficult.
Yeah, this one is difficult, but what a race. What are the good 3 races?
It looked absolutely amazing here in the Commons booth. Obviously, I'm not one for I haven't got myself an iRacing platform, but if there's one track I want to have a go at and challenge myself, it's definitely this one. Obviously, you guys put on a great show there. I will say for yourself a really clean race. I would say for you. I feel like there was a moment for you in race 3 where you had a bit of an incident there. You just caught a half spin at the exit of 4, 5, and 6 on the never-ending left-hander. So that would have been a hard-to-mouth moment there. But you just came out ahead of Hayden Velve, who is your championship contender. What do you think about some of these races that we've seen here, some of the drives that you've seen up and down the field? Obviously, you're starting from the back of the field in race 2 and 3. Any honourable drivers that have put on a great performance out there?
Yeah, look, that race 3, I saw Mitch Curry take a half spin, and I'm like, what is he looking at? So I decided to go with him. No, it was... Oh, look, this whole field is super competitive. I've definitely needed to step it up from last season. I mean, you can't go past Ethan. Ethan's tonight he put on an incredible drive in all 3 races. Pretty sure he finished in the top 5 in all 3. So he's one to look out for. And obviously you got Sebastian and Hayden, Jeremy, all your normal alien speed guys. Also, someone who's actually surprising me is Ryan Palmer. Believe it or not.
He surprises us all, to be fair, Reese, but specifically, why is he surprising you this time?
Well, coming from the Season 2, he moved on to the Gen 3s, and I can't remember if it was in between Gen 3 and Season 2, he upgraded to a proper full sim rig with sim magic gear and stuff. And then in the supercars he performed really well, but I think it's translated over to the GT3s as well. And he's driving incredibly. And I mean, also with his teammate Josh Harris, who unfortunately just let it slip in those last couple of laps. But the ADHD guys they're ones to look out for, definitely.
I was going to say that if Josh Harris took a victory here tonight, he would have definitely shocked the whole field there, because led for 15 laps and then got an unfortunate end there to lose the lead to Ethan Johnson there. So, but the ADHD guys are really putting on a performance this season. I definitely noticed with Ryan Palmer, and then of course with Josh Harris in that last one.
They really are. Like Josh never makes it easy for me to overtake him. Even when I was coming up alongside him down the front straight, I'm like, it's a battle of the late breakers here. So I backed myself and went for it into turn 1. Luckily it paid out. But yeah, I just had to put car lengths in front of me and Hayden. That's all I was trying to do. Like, race 2, I was happy with him being the car in front of me. But after the start of race 3 and that half spin, I just needed to put as many cars between Hayden and myself as possible. And I mean, to come out with a P4 or P3 in race 3, I was pretty happy with that.
And what about that last corner there between you and Sebastian? That was talk us through that moment. Obviously, you got a great run in those last few corners through 11 and 12, and then through to 13. Obviously, you seem to be very strong in those that last sector of the track there. Was that just a mistake for Sebastian, or did you just get a really good exit on the final corner?
I think it was a combination of both. Like, to be honest, I'd already half conceded second place, like couple turns beforehand, but I wasn't going to let up off the pace. And then I think he made a little bit of a mistake coming out of the final corner, and I got a really good line through there. So I was gaining on him. I was hoping I could side draft him, but he just got me in the end. But it was a good race, good finish of the race for sure.
Well, Reece Wakefield, thank you so much for dropping by to have a chat to us. Another strong performance for you, and of course, One Performance Racing. Still a lot of rounds to go, mate. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to chat to you again in the not too distant future. Hey.
Well, that's it. Plenty of rounds to go. It's only round 2 after all.
Absolutely. Reece Wakefield, great driving tonight, mate. Great to chat to you once again.
Thank you. Great chatting to you guys again.
Reece Wakefield taking out P3 there in that final race. We will take a moment, given that he's waiting around for us. Always appreciate that. Thomas Hinds, welcome to the booth, mate. What a night for you, hey?
Oh yeah, what an adventure. It's a shame that second race, real shame. It's a shame to throw away a top 10 with that mistake, but when I look back at it, I think it makes sense, because I know that my guy, the V8 obviously series winner, my duo partner, long-time duo partner, Brett Loxton, has taught me about that, how in aero cars, iRacing does actually have it, where if someone sort of comes into a corner, is that close, it can actually wipe the aero off the rear, which would explain it, because I really didn't feel like I went in that hard, and it just went. So, shame, but I mean, I got to have some fun in the last race, so I guess there are positives to it.
Yeah, and look, you've got to look for the positives, mate, and that's something you're always doing, so always appreciate hearing it from you. In the end, though, I tell you what, you made some gains there, and you probably heard us chatting about you, I suspect, which is why you've come on through to claim the award for the number of positions gained tonight, up 28 in that final race. Huge drive. How did it feel getting through that number of cars?
Oh, it's good fun. I'm just seeing on the preview that you stay in slow-mo. That's probably I'm happy with that move. That's a nice move.
I'm trying to pick the best ones for you, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. I'm generally not a great qualifier. I feel like in recent years I have slowly gotten a little better at least pulling a decent lap out, but I've usually always been really bad in quali, so I always end up further down than my race pace is. So I'm always fighting through. I always have been for pretty much the whole time sim racing over these years. So I feel like it's helped me a lot for being able to pick my way through cars. So yeah, that first lap was insane. I think I gained about 12 spots in the first lap alone. That was ridiculous. I just obviously, being that far down, I was like, all right, well, we're just going to put the head down. Let's go for it. We've already lost points in the second race. Let's just have a send and see what happens. And it worked out. So it's a lot of fun. It is fun. I don't do it as much these days because I guess I'm qualifying a little better these days, so I'm not having to do that usually as much. But it was good to get to do it again, because it is pretty fun getting to lob some cars and do some overtaking, and it is a good time.
Well, mate, always a pleasure to chat to you. And look, despite finishing outside the podium there at the end, certainly picking up a whole bunch of extra points, moving up 28 positions to finish in 7th place. Great drive from you, Thomas, and a pleasure as always to chat to you, mate.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much, guys.
Thomas Hinds there, joining us to just talk through what was a pretty phenomenal drive, Nick. Let's take a look, though, at the championship standings. Of course, provisional points before any protests or penalties are issued. And it looks a little something like this. Reece Wakefield and Hayden Veld continue to hold the top of the field. Unsurprising, of course. Jeremy Washington moves up a few spots, though, and he's not too far out of the race. Ethan Johnson, tonight, a massive one for him with the results that he saw, up 10 positions from round 1. And then Liam Jensen manages to squeeze up a few points as well. Sebastian Vardello still in the hunt. Josh Harris goes up a few. Chris Miller up as well. A few drivers dropping a little bit further back with some slightly less favourable results tonight. But of course, that's what drop rounds are for. This is only round 2. We've got another 8 rounds to go after this. So still plenty of opportunity to make up the points and close the gap before the season comes to an end later on this year. Nick Patasso, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you along again tonight. This is the last time we're probably going to see you in the booth for the season. But, mate, thank you so much for getting us started for these first couple of weeks and being on board with me as we take a look at some pretty incredible GT3 racing.
Oh my goodness, like if I could be here for the whole season, I would love to be part of this, the French Care GT3 Championship, because it is throwing up a lot of spice in this championship. A lot of great drivers that we're seeing in Season 4. Obviously, Reese Wakefield being one of the standouts, Hayden Bell, Sebastian Barndell, and then even the guys like Ruben Dan, Liam Jensen, Ethan Johnson. My goodness, there's so many to name here, Jared, that they're all such great caliber drivers, and I can't wait to see how the season unfolds to conclude the year of 2025. I'll hopefully try to get myself back into the commentary booth at least towards the latter half of the season. I will definitely try my absolute best. But the first 2 rounds here has been absolutely crazy, been absolutely phenomenal at Interlagos and at here at the Motorsport Arena in Oschersleben. It's great to see how the drivers are performing, and it's great to see some great quality driving and amongst up and down the field. They're great respect for all the drivers, and it's really good fun. I feel like the GT3 racing here at MC Motorsports always provides some sort of action, and we never get disappointed with it at all. So, but I'll leave you to it, Jared, to conclude the stream. But thank you so much to the team at MC Motorsport for having me in the commentary booth. As I said, I will try my very best to get myself back into the comms booth in the latter half of the championship, but never say never, Jared, and hopefully I'll be back with you very soon.
Well, we might just hold you to that, Spud. We'll see how it goes, but that will, of course, wrap us up here at Oschersleben for round 2. 3 sprints that brought us absolute non-stop action tonight. Another amazing way to spend a night of racing here at the pointy end of the, well, it's not really the pointy end, it's very early on in the championship for this sort of racing to be happening. But of course, the championship fight at the top is going to be a fierce one with really only a handful of points separating the leaders. Next week, though, we head to South Australia for one of my favourite tracks, round 3 at the Bend Motorsport Park, where a sprint and feature format will test these drivers once again. For tonight, though, that is it from the French Car Care GT3 Championship, proudly presented by MC Motorsport and supported by French Car Care. Domains to you, iRap Designs, Everything Simulated, Sixpence Coffee, and Maximum Effort Racing. From everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.